Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, would you please call the roll?
Senators Aguilar,
Excused.
Baumgardner, Cook, Coram, Court,
Absent.
Crowder,
Absent.
Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill,
Absent.
Holbert, John, Jones,
Absent.
Kagan,
Absent.
Kafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lumberg, Marble, Martinez-Humenic, Martinez-Humenic,
Absent.
None today.
Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola, Priola,
Absent.
Scott, Smallwood, Tate, Tate,
Absent.
Todd, Williams,
Excused.
Zinzinger, President Grantham,
Excused.
Tate, Court, Kagan,
Excused. I thought I saw Senator Jones.
Jones,
That's what happens when we start on time.
Hill. Oh, there he is.
Senator Crowder's here too, I believe.
Crowder, Priola,
With 30 present, 1 absent, 4 excused, we indeed have a quorum. Senator Gardner, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Thank you, Mr. President Pro Tem. Would all of you who did come to work this morning and those of you watching on Channel 165 join me in the pledge?
For which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the journal. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the journal for Tuesday, April 18th, be dispensed with and the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The journal is indeed adopted. Please add Senator Martinez-Humenic to the roll. Committee reports.
First report of First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 258. This report amends the re-engrossed bill to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. First Conference Committee appointed on Senate Bill 258 concerning the use of open educational resources in public institutions of higher education and in connection therewith making an appropriation has met and reports that it is agreed upon the following, that the House received from its amendments made to the bill as the amendments appear in the re-revised bill, and that the following amendments be substituted therefore respectfully submitted. Senate Committee, Senator Lambert, Chair, Senator Lumberg, Senator Moreno, House Committee, Representative Young, Chair, Representative Rankin, Representative Hamner. First report of First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 264. This report adopts the re-revised bill to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The First Conference Committee appointed on Senate Bill 264 concerning funding resources related to service for behavioral or mental health disorders has met and reports that it is agreed upon the following, that the Senate accede to the House amendments made to the bill and that the re-revised bill be adopted without change respectfully submitted. Senate Committee, Senator Lambert, Chair, Senator Lumberg, Senator Moreno, House Committee, Representative Young, Chair, Representative Rankin, Representative Hamner. April 18, 2017, the Committee on Finance has had on consideration had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Members of the Colorado Lottery Commission for a term expiring July 1st, 2019. Kevin Scott Neerum of Inglewood, Colorado, serves as representative of law enforcement as a Republican indication by the resignation of James Howard Davis of Westminster, Colorado, appointed. April 18, 2017, the Committee on Finance has had on consideration had a hearing on the following appointments and recommends the appointments be placed on the consent calendar and confirmed. Member of the Public Employees Retirement Benefit Plans for a term expiring July 10, 2020. Roger P. Johnson of Denver, Colorado, serves as a representative with experience and competence in investment management, finance, banking, economics, accounting, pension administration, or actuarial analysis, and as a Republican, in occasion by the resignation of Benjamin H. Valor Kaplan of Denver, Colorado, appointed. April 18, 2017, Committee on Finance. After consideration, the Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 285 be postponed indefinitely.
That appears to be the march of the Mr. President just now entering the room. Please add the President to the roll and Senator Aguilar to the roll. Senate Services.
Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 82 and 278, Senate Joint Resolution 35, correctly reengrossed, Senate Bill 270 and 286, correctly revised, House Bill 1003, 1072, 1200, 1229, correctly re-revised, House Bill 1104, 1158, 1172, 1205, 1213, 1222, 1238, 1239, 1240, 1241, 1243, 1244, 1245, and 1280, correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 153, 223, 234, 226, 227, and 245.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege.
Motion is to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we'll proceed out of order. Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues, and I'd like to ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest in the House today, and I am thrilled to be able to recognize him and also to give you a chance to say thank you to a very special person. President Steve Jordan has the audacity to say he's going to retire and leave Metro State. And what a loss that will be for all of us. We have been able to work with him on so many different issues for higher education in the state of Colorado, all in the name of advancing educational opportunities for students. So I do have a tribute to share with him this morning and invite members of the body to come and join in saying thank you as well. The members of the Colorado State Senate would like to recognize the progress and incredible strides led by President Stephen Jordan of Metropolitan State University. President Jordan spearheaded initiatives to recruit and support students of color, including the goal of achieving Hispanic serving institution by 2018. Under President Jordan's leadership, MSU achieved university status. So some of us remember when that happened and we passed that bill. Launched 5 master's degree programs, which I was pleased to be a sponsor of, and established a school of education. Moreover, President Jordan transformed MSU with innovative public-private partnerships, such as establishing the new hotel and hospital learning center where they always host us at the beginning of session, the award-winning Regency Athletic Complex, and the Aerospace and Engineering Sciences Building. Since taking the helm in 2005, seems just like yesterday, Steve, but 2005, President Jordan has created a pathway for MSU in becoming a preeminent public urban university. Furthermore, we want to thank President Jordan for opening the doors to higher education for innumerable students, especially to those who might not otherwise have had the opportunity to attend a university at all. On request of Senator Nancy Todd, given this 19th day of April 2017, State Capitol, Denver, Colorado, signed by Kevin J. Grantham, President of the Senate.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. President Jordan, thank you for your service, not only to your campus, the students, the faculty, the staff there, but the state of Colorado. I had the opportunity to serve on Education Committee 4 years in the House, 2 years in the Senate. And one of the first interactions I had with MSU and with you was to disagree with the proposed name. As a freshman legislator, I took the opportunity to be outraged. I want to thank you for your grace in handling that and stepping back from that proposed name. And it just exemplifies your leadership style and the teamwork that you have on the campus. People went back to the drawing board, came up with a better name. My disagreement, my outrage was solved because you found a better solution. And that's what we've seen, what I've seen from you in the 7 years that I've been able to be a part of the General Assembly. And I just say thank you personally for your leadership at that campus and everything you've done, not only for students and faculty and staff, but really our state. Congratulations and Godspeed in your endeavors in retirement. Thank you.
Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. A moment of personal privilege, please.
Granted.
Thank you. Dr. Jordan, you have made Metro State University. I remember when I was a student at what was then called the Denver campus of the University of Colorado. And Metro was in the same general vicinity, because that was when the Auraria campus was being created. And I remember that Metro was sort of the stepchild in this whole equation, because we had the community college and we then had UCD. And Metro was just sort of there. And then you showed up. You have made this a stellar institution. It is your doing and that of your board, many of whom I know and some of whom are my constituents, but you've made this one of the universities in Colorado that we are so proud to claim, and it's because of your doing. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for everything you've done for, as our minority leader said, the students, the faculty, and the whole state. You've made a magnificent difference. Thank you.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
I would just like to add my congratulations and thanks to President Jordan, Dr. Jordan, for his leadership. When you think about what he has accomplished in 12 years as president, I am in awe of everything that you've accomplished. And you can always tell a leader by what they talk about and what they believe. And what I know that he's done is he has inspired and he's empowered so many people, and you can see that through all the programs that have been implemented under your leadership. So I just want to say thank you for leading the change that you have. I wish you all the best in your new endeavors for you and your wife. Thank you.
Minority Leader Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like a request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor to speak about President Jordan. I was honored to serve on the advisory board for the university for several years and became very much a part of his philosophy and a believer in his strength, his energy, his compassion, and his passion. A good leader is one that will stand up to those who don't agree and help usher in a decision that can come from that disagreement that enhances not only the entity for whom you represent, but also greater days ahead. And that is what he has done throughout his tenure. Mr. President, I wish you well. The only reason that I feel all right about your leaving is that I think also a good leader knows when to make the decision to step aside and let the future go on. And also, more than that though, a good leader knows when it's time to have more time to play golf. Congratulations.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Members, today there will be a Denver Business Journal reception for the top 40 women in energy at the Grand Hyatt Hotel Pinnacle Room. And someone we know and work with regularly, my friend Garen Vorthman, is one of the top 40 women in energy. Thank you.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if I might continue on with my moment of personal privilege, I would request that.
Granted.
Thank you very much. There's so many stories and so many things that I'd like to say about Steve, but I won't go into all of them. I do remember 12 years ago when we sat in Panera's in Aurora and started talking about his vision for Metro State and where it was going to go. And the amazing thing is that it's kind of like unleashing a puppy, and he just ran with it. And there was not anything that stopped him. He proceeded to go forward with a vision and a way of putting Metro State on the map, whether it was the Roadrunners with basketball or soccer or baseball, any and all of the athletics, academics, making sure that students had great opportunities, aerospace, any of the things that are moving and at the top of the list in Colorado. Steve Jordan is there, and he has been such a leader. I would like to take this moment and introduce a couple of his wind beneath his wings that are with him today. So Steve, if you'll stand, and let us first applaud your efforts, and then I will introduce your family. Along with Steve, he has been blessed by having a great partner in crime. And that partner is Ruthie. His wife has been alongside him every step of the way. Where you see Steve, you see Ruthie. They are a strong messenger for Metro State and just a very incredible role model for the state of Colorado. They're also joined with their son, Ross Jordan, who lives in Superior. We're delighted to have him, and a couple of the Board of Trustees from Metro State and his Chief of Staff, who again, Kathy, and I always mess up your last name, Mays. I'm not saying it correctly, but please join us as part of Steve Jordan's family. And thank you, colleagues, for honoring our great friend, Steve Jordan.
Please add Senator Kagan to the roll. Third reading of bills. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 138.
Senate Bill 138 by Senator Tate and Representative Foote concerning the role of election watchers in connection with the conduct of elections.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 138 until Friday, April 21st.
Motion is to lay over Senate Bill 138 till Friday, April 21st. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and that will be laid over. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1160.
House Bill 1160 by Representatives Hamner and Wilson and Senators Priol and Fields concerning authorizing a local education provider to determine the language in which a student who is an English language learner takes reading assessments in kindergarten through third grade.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1160 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of House Bill 1160. Are there any no votes? Senator Lambert. Senator Marble, Senator Neville, Senator Cook, Senator Hill, Senator Crowder, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Lundberg, Senator Scott, with a vote of 24 ayes, 10 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1160 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Fenberg, Senator Kagan, Senator Moreno, Senator Aguilar, Senator Todd, Senator Martinez-Humanic, Senator Court and Kerr, Senator Tate. Ms. Carpenter, please. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 278.
Senate Bill 278 by Senator Quorum, Representative Janal, concerning a prohibition against engaging in a nuisance exhibition of motor vehicle exhaust.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 278 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 278. Are there any no votes? Senator Hill, Senator Cook, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Crowder, Senator Marble, Senator Neville, Senator Gardner, Senator Lundberg, Senator Lambert, Senator Smallwood, Majority Leader Holbert. Please add the President. 22 ayes, 12 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused. Senate Bill 278 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalis, Senator Merrifield, Senator Fenberg, Senator Garcia, Senator Court, Senator Kagan, Senator Aguilar, Senator Todd, Senator Kerr. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1003.
House Bill 1003 by Representative McLaughlin and Senator Quorum, concerning a strategic action plan to address teacher shortages in Colorado.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1003 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. President. Colleagues, we heard this in committee. I've shared multiple times my concern about how we are not doing well following our constitutional requirement to have a thorough and uniform system of free public schools in Colorado, that we have, in too many cases, an urban-focused set of policies, set of funding models. The challenge here is we are now telling a system that has not managed this well. We're telling a system to fix the system. And so while I certainly support the overall goals, while I certainly support the desire to address these challenges in our rural areas, I do not believe that legislating the system to fix the system is what's going to result in the real solutions that we need in terms of thinking of 21st century solutions to 21st century problems. That's why I'll be a no vote today.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I rise in support of House Bill 1003 and thank the good sponsor from Montrose for bringing it forward. This is a crisis that we are facing in Colorado. What is the answer? We don't know. We know some of the reasons why people are not going into education. We know and we understand some of the struggles being able to field certain teachers in certain positions and certain areas of expertise. But this gives an opportunity for an expansion, a conversation, to be able to bring forward experts and to bring forward our higher ed institutions to make sure that we are providing more teachers for the state of Colorado. I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1003. And again, thank you for bringing it forward.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Probably most of you have not been in a situation where your child did not have a 5th grade teacher, 3rd grade teacher. It happens in rural Colorado. Is this the answer? I'm not sure. Do we need a bigger hammer? Perhaps. But I think it's time that we let education know that we are serious about this problem, and this problem needs to be solved now. Ask for an aye vote.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I join my my colleague from Colorado Springs. We heard this in the Education Committee. And again, I agree with him totally that asking the system to do what? To solve a problem? No, we're asking the system to study a problem again. So one more study that's hopefully going to give us information, which, frankly, colleagues, is out there right now. I mean, this is sort of 101. If you're having a problem getting people for a specific job, I don't think you've got to have a study to try to figure out what the problem is. If you have a position that you're trying to fill, it's a question. Is there availability? Are the economic situations correct for that individual? Bottom line, get up and solve it. One of the biggest issues that we have in education, and we've heard this, and actually we heard this in committee too, is the issue regarding licensure, teacher licensure. The first step that you do to solve a problem is take everything that you look at and try to identify things that would be barriers to entry to a job and remove every single one of those barriers to entry, things that you can control at the rural, local level. Now, that's not being done, and there might be a number of reasons why, but it's not being done. But the first thing, before you ask for help from the state of Colorado, from the experts, the education experts, so-called experts, is take a look at your own rural areas and remove every single barrier to entry first. Then come back. Then come back. But until that's done, colleagues, I'm going to be of no vote on this bill.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be a yes vote on this. The reality is, in rural Colorado, we do have a problem retaining teachers. We have a problem recruiting teachers. And I think something like this, we have also a constitutional responsibility to take care of this that's not being taken care of. So I think this is a step in the right direction to bring attention to what we in rural Colorado have already known, that we do have an issue and a problem. So I will be a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1003. Are there any no votes? Senator Hill, Senator Cook, Senator Lundberg, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Lambert, Senator Smallwood, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Tate, Senator Neville, Senator Marble, Senator Scott, Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Gardner, Senator Martinez-Humenick. With a vote of 20 ayes, 14 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1003 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fields, Senator Cafalas, Senator Garcia, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Merrifield, Senator Fenberg, Senator John, Senator Court, Senator Todd, Senator Aguilar, Senator Moreno, Senator Donovan, Senator Crowder, Senator Kerr. Ms. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1200.
House Bill 1200 by Representatives Wist and Gray and Senator Tate and Cafalas concerning modification of the laws regulating public benefit corporations in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1200 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Thank you. Motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1200. Are there any no votes? Senator Lambert, Senator Gardner, Senator Crowder, Senator Lundberg. With a vote of 30 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1200 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Todd, Senator Kagan, Senator Fenberg, Senator Jones, Senator Merrifield, Senator Kerr, Senator Hill, Senator Cook, Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1072.
House Bill 1072 by Representatives Landgraf and Lawrence and Senator Cook concerning human trafficking for sexual servitude.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1072 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1072. Are there any no votes? The vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused. House Bill 1072 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Marble, Senator Neville, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Gardner, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Lundberg, Senator Lambert, Senator Smallwood, Senator Priola, Senator Scott, Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Tate, Senator Crowder. We're on co-sponsors on 1072. Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Fields, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Court, Senator Fenberg, Senator Merrifield, Senator John, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, Senator Aguilar, Senator Hill. Please add the President. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we lay over Senate Bill 82 until Thursday, April 20th.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 82 till Thursday, April 20th. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and that will be laid over. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the House Bill 1229.
House Bill 1229 by Representatives Singer and Becker J. and Senators Cook and Todd concerning clarification when a worker may be compensated for a claim of mental impairment for a psychologically traumatic event under workers' compensation.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we move House Bill 1229 on third and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1229. Are there any no votes? Senator Neville, Senator Lambert, Senator Marble, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Sonnenberg, the vote of 29 ayes, 5 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused. House Bill. Please add Senator Lundberg as a no vote. With a vote of 28 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1229 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator John, Senator Merrifield, Senator Aguilar, Senator Moreno, Senator Kagan, Senator Donovan, Senator Court, Senator Fenberg, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Fields, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Jones, Senator Hill, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Tate, Senator Kerr, Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order once again for a moment of personal privilege.
Motion is to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and we'll proceed out of order. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. Moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Colleagues, today we're joined in the gallery by the Evergreen High School Lady Cougars basketball team. They've had a very, very unique season this year en route to their first 4A girls basketball championship, and so we wanted to take a little bit of time to honor them down here. And I'm going to read you basically what we have, a presentation we have for them today that the Senate and House of Representatives convened in the first regular session of the 71st General Assembly hereby extends the warmest gratitude and commendation to the Evergreen High School ladies basketball team. Whereas the Evergreen Lady Cougars opened the 2016-17 season with 12 consecutive victories. The Evergreen Lady Cougars finished 25-3 this past season. The Evergreen Lady Cougars won the school's first 4A state basketball championship on March 11, 2017 at the Denver Coliseum. The head coach is Amy Ball, and the assistant coaches here today are Cheryl Newhall, Ed Helms, Allie Myers, and Maddie Horniker. And the team included senior Keegan Drysdale, juniors Christina Schreiber, Hannah Kennedy, Bailey Galland Brown, Dana Stable, Mariel Hahn, Alexandra Helms, and sophomores McLean Drysdale, Sam Gibson, Claudia Dillon, and freshman Haley Dillon. Therefore, we congratulate the Evergreen High School Lady Cougars basketball team on their historic victory on request of myself and Representative Tim Leonard, given this 22nd day of April 2017, signed by President Grantham and Speaker of the House Christina Duran. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming the Evergreen Lady Cougars to the State Senate.
General order, second reading of bills. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
Motion before the body is to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. Motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Tate will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, you read the titles to all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
House Bill 1253 by Representative Danielson and Senator Crowder concerning the protection of vulnerable adults from Financial Exploitations Act. House Bill 1267 by Representative Arndt and Senator Moreno concerning the scheduled approval reports by educational agencies to the General Assembly. House Bill 1217 by Representatives Winter and Sane and Senators Donovan and Smallwood concerning the governance structure of the State Historical Society.
Senator Olbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move all of the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar consisting of House Bills 1253 and the Finance Committee Report 1267, 1217.
Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports on the bills on the consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion of the body is the approval of the committee reports. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the consent calendar? Seeing no discussion, the motion for the body is the adoption of the bills on the second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those no. The ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion from the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed no. The ayes have it, and we will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee will begs leave to report had under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof makes following recommendation thereon. House Bill 1283 is amended. House Bill 1267, House Bill 1217 passed in second reading. Order rise and place on calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion before us is the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? The vote of 34 ayes, there are noes, there are absent, one excused. The Committee of the Whole report is adopted. House Bill 1253 is amended. House Bill 1267, House Bill 1217 passed on second reading, ordered and revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. General order, second reading of bills. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills.
Motion before the body is to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order, second reading of bills calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The aye has it, and we will resolve ourselves in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order, second reading of bills calendar. Senator Tate will take the chair.
The committee will come to order, and the cut rule is relaxed. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that at the request of the sponsor that Senate Bill 107 lay over until Thursday, April 20th.
The motion for the body is to lay over Senate Bill 107 until Thursday. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill will be laid over. Mr. Carpenter, will you read the title to House Bill 1269?
House Bill 1269 by Representatives Danielson and Norberg and Senators Martinez, Humanic, and Donovan concerning the repeal of the prohibition of an action against an employee for sharing wage information.
Senator Martinez, Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move House Bill 17-1269 and ask for favorable approval.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1269? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of House Bill 1269. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1269 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of House Bill 1165?
House Bill 1165 by Representative Lepsock and Senator Aguilar concerning the resolution of disciplinary actions by agencies within the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, we amended House Bill 1165 in Business, Labor, and Technology Committee, and the amendment resulted in a fiscal note. So I'd like to ask that House Bill 1165 be sent to Appropriations. I'd like to move that House Bill 1165 be sent to Appropriations.
The motion for the body is the Senator Aguilar, if you could move the bill and move to refer it to the Committee on Appropriations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1165. And I move that House Bill 1165 be sent to Appropriations.
The motion for the body is to refer House Bill 1165 to the Committee on Appropriations. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1165 will be referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of House Bill 276, Senate Bill 276?
Senate Bill 276 by Senator Neville and Representative Neville concerning methods to alleviate the fiscal impact of state regulations on small businesses and in connection therewith, enacting the Regulatory Relief Act of 2017.
Okay. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 276 on second reading and ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 276? Seeing none, the motion of the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 276. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 276 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of House Bill 1214?
House Bill 1214 by Representative Coleman and Senator Tate concerning efforts to encourage employee ownership of the state's existing small businesses.
Senator Tate. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1214 on second reading and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of 114? House Bill 1214. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, we heard this bill in committee. It seems like a bill that tries to help small businesses. I'm going to be a no vote, strictly from the standpoint of, is it the role of government to interfere in the progression of businesses from one ownership to another? This is something that happens in the natural state of things on a day-to-day basis, every day of the year. And putting government in that path is, when I take a look at our track record when we interfere with business, it's not a good one. So I will be a no vote today.
Senator Court.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a fabulous bill for us to encourage people who are going to retire but might have to close their business because they have no heirs, they have no one to take the business over, to have their employees be encouraged to buy the business and continue it is a win for small businesses. It's a win for the employees. It's a win for our communities. So I think it's a fabulous idea, and I will acknowledge that it is one of my constituents who got this idea moving in Colorado. So I think it's a fabulous idea, and I so much appreciate the senator from Centennial for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And colleagues, when I say this is happening every day, it is. There are a lot of groups that are involved out there within the economy. There are brokers, business brokers that do nothing else other than this, that assist with transactions. There are employee groups that get together and do this on their own. This is, as I would say, one more excuse for government to get involved in private business. Why do we want to do that? So continue to urge a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1214. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill passes. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 216.
Senate Bill 216 by Senator Gardner and Representative Becker Kay and Lontine concerning continuation of the regulation of collection agencies under the Colorado Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2016 Sunset Report of the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 216 and the Judiciary and Appropriations Committee's reports.
To the committee report, Senator.
Thank you. Members, the Judiciary Committee report is a set of extensive amendments to Senate Bill 216, which is the sunset of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. I would urge you to approve the committee report, and we can discuss the bill as it is amended. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. The motion for the body is the adoption of the committee reports to Senate Bill 216. Of the Judiciary Committee report. Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of the report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. And the Judiciary report's adopted. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the Appropriations report, this is a cash-funded program, and the Appropriations report reflects that appropriation. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Is there any discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the report's adopted. To the bill, Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Senate Bill 216 represents hours and hours and days of stakeholder work by third-party collection agencies, the debt buying industry, consumer interest, and the Attorney General's office. For those on the Judiciary Committee, you will know that this is a compromise bill, one that I think we were somewhat surprised when the compromise was reached, because it was my belief that there would be some hard issues when we were done that remained unresolved. The several amendments added in the Senate Judiciary Committee included documentation requirements for legal action on a debt that's been sold, a new system of transparency, accountability, and communication between the administrator and the AG's office and the industry, and removal of any reference to a statute of limitations, thereby relying upon the existing statute of limitations. When we were done with all of that, the upshot was that there is a need for one amendment that we want to offer today. Mr. Chair, I think it's on the desk.
I'm looking at that desk. There is an amendment on the desk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L011.
Thank you, Senator. To the amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the amendment clarifies the bond requirement language within the Act as to who can access the surety bond. It defines what a debt buyer is, and it removes some duplicative language, kind of a technical thing, so I ask for an aye vote on L011.
Thank you, Senator. The motion for the body is adoption of Amendment L011. All those in favor say aye. Oh, is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of Amendment L011 to Senate Bill 216. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the amendment's adopted. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me express my appreciation to all of the stakeholders on a very difficult bill that resulted in one of the largest stakeholder meetings I ever had of 25 people, but they all engaged in what is the best of this process to come up with Senate Bill 216, and my hope is that the House will not tinker with it because it is an important and finally balanced compromise. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to thank the bill sponsor for taking on the sponsorship of this bill. That was a big, heavy lift. And the stakeholders, the debt collection agencies, the Attorney General's office, the debt buying industry, really coming together and making sure that we have, going out of this, robust protections, more robust in Colorado than in most places, for debtors, but also a fair process that enables creditors to adequately access as much as possible of the debts that they are owed. This was a torturous process undertaken with hard work and goodwill and cooperation and collaboration between all those involved, and it is an example of government working at its best. I want to thank all those concerned, especially my esteemed chair, and I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 216? All those, see no further discussion. The motion of the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 216 as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and Senate Bill 216 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of Senate Bill 269?
Senate Bill 269 by Senators Marble and Aguilar and Representatives Winter and McKean concerning the exclusion of specified non-alcohol products from the calculation of the maximum amount of a retail liquor store's annual gross sales revenue that may be derived from the sale of non-alcohol products.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move Senate Bill 269 and ask for your support.
If someone could move the committee report, that'd be great as well. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee report.
To the committee report.
In BLT, we modified the exceptions to include ice, soft drinks, and mixers, as well as non-food items related to the consumption of malt, vinous, or spirituous liquors. Sorry. And we'd ask for your support.
Is there any discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of the Business and Labor Committee report to Senate Bill 269. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee report's adopted. To the bill, Senator Aguilar.
Thank you. Members, this is a bill that helps clear up a little error we made in passing Senate Bill 16197, where it allows the 20% limit on non-alcohol products to exclude lottery products, cigarettes, and tobacco products, as well as now ice, soft drinks, and foods related to the consumption of alcohol. And we'd ask for your support for this bill that will make it much easier for our small retail liquor stores.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 269? Seeing none, the motion for the body is adoption of Senate Bill 269. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The aye has it, and Senate Bill 269 is adopted. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title of Senate Bill 250?
Senate Bill 250 by Senators Marble and Neville and Representative Lebsack and Neville concerning the exemption of a student from the requirement of immunizations for attendance at school.
Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Senate Bill 250, and there are no committee reports.
To the bill. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, Senate Bill 250 is a pretty simple bill. It really focuses on clarifying some challenges that we had over the last couple of years with CDPHE, and many of you might remember House Bill 1164, which was postponed indefinitely, but it created some issues and problems around reporting. that the schools were having to deal with. We received a lot of phone calls, and this bill simply clarifies the language according to the statute that's currently in effect. Urge an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on Senate Bill 250? Further discussion? I don't see it. I don't see it. Oh, there's an amendment on the desk. Senator Neville. Oh, Amendment L003. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L003 to Senate Bill 250?
Amendment L003 to Senate Bill 250 by Senators Neville and Marble. Amend printed bill page 2, line 19 after the period, add the healthcare provider submitting certificate.
Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, Amendment 003 simply clarifies some of the language within the bill, making sure that people understand what is necessary so that the schools can keep track of any exceptions that are given either through medical or for personal or religious beliefs. Urge an aye vote.
Senator Neville, if you could move Amendment L003.
I move 003.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Amendment L003? Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. I appreciate the bill sponsors' willingness to put guardrails on the statement of exemption regarding immunizations, and so I think that's a positive thing. I will be offering an amendment that's very similar, and hopefully we can have that conversation. Thank you.
Any further discussion on L003? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, I'd ask for a no vote on this amendment, and we can talk about the bill in general, but this amendment does not actually improve the bill and continues to pose a risk for our continued escalation of the lack of herd immunity and risk of communicable diseases in our state for poor immunization. So I'd ask for a no vote on the amendment.
Any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the motion of the body's adoption of L003 to Senate Bill 250. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment L003 is adopted. There's another amendment on the desk presently, and there it is. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read Amendment L004?
Amendment L004 to Senate Bill 250 by
Senator Kavalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Amendment L004.
To the amendment.
Thank you, sir. Colleagues, this amendment is very similar to the previous one. I have been in discussions with the bill sponsors, including the bill sponsor in the House, as well as the proponents, and I've shared this with the opponents of Senate Bill 250. The difference is, and why I think this amendment merits passage, other than what my Senate colleague from Denver might have to say about all of this, is that if you look at the first paragraph of the amendment, one of the things that we are referring to is that a parent, guardian, emancipated student, or a student 18 years of age or older. So we're saying that those two categories, emancipated student and student 18 years of age or older, are not required to submit the form. This whole bill is about clarifying the matter of the statement of exemption, and the intent of both of these amendments is to put some parameters, some basic information that should be provided in the statement of exemption. So that's one difference, where in the medical exemption part of the bill, we would include emancipated students and students 18 years of age or older. And then the other difference in this amendment is that if you look at the second paragraph, lines 10 and 11 of the amendment, it says, and which type of non-medical exemption is being taken. One of the things that I've heard from proponents of this is that they've sort of been lumped into the non-medical exempt category. And for some people, it's a personal belief exemption. For some people, it's a religious exemption. And so that's what the intent of this language is. Otherwise, for the most part, there's similarities in these two amendments.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Neville, to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do appreciate the good senator from Fort Collins bringing and trying to clarify. I do have a challenge with this amendment, particularly regarding the issue of religious belief and having to say, actually list what your religious belief is and why. We can make an easy assumption here that it would be a personal belief that this person is either opposed for whatever reason, but to try to get into the world of religion and have to list why, which religion, what is your belief, why, or is it personal? Well, there's nothing more personal than religion. It's covered under the First Amendment. So I appreciate the intent of the senator, but I do have a challenge with this and would urge a no vote.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cavalos?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to reiterate, this language is here based on conversations that I had with proponents. I'm happy to listen, but it is my opinion that the way this is worded, there is no requirement for one to list one's particular religion. It just states that if you're submitting a statement of exemption, a letter, there are certain things that need to be included in that letter, including whether or not you are taking a personal belief, a philosophical or a personal belief exemption, or whether you are taking a religious exemption. It does not ask or require that you indicate what particular faith or what denomination and those kinds of things.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on Amendment L004 to Senate Bill 250? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of L004. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it, and the amendment is lost. Any further discussion on Senate Bill 250? Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this is a small but really important bill, and it basically has to do with exempting your child from immunizations because you don't believe in immunizations or you believe that they are not good for the health of children. And as you may be aware, there have been many studies, particularly around the false claim of autism being precipitated by immunizations, that have debunked that ability. That research that was proven to be false, and in fact the professor lost his professorship for that false research. But I think it's more importantly an issue about public health and whether or not you believe that one of our duties as a legislative body is to support the health of the public. I do want to bring to your attention that actually there are only 19 states that allow a personal belief exemption for vaccines. Every state allows a medical exemption, and so if you have a provider who will state that you cannot take an immunization either because you have a disease in which you might actually get the disease from being immunized, or for some other medical reason, you can be exempted. But there are only a limited number of states that allow a personal belief exemption. And in those states, most of them have some type of specific requirement for how you claim and get that personal belief exemption. And in our state, in fact, in the state of Utah, in order to get that exemption, you actually need to have someone from the health department witness and sign the personal exemption. So it's actually much more rigorous than ours. In Colorado, it is my read, and certainly the read that's been codified, I would say, from our Rules Committee, that our Board of Health does have the authority to require this type of form. And in fact, the requirement, the law basically says that we require the filing of a statement of exemption and that the State Board of Health is given rulemaking authority regarding what this statement might be. The Board of Health did, in fact, pass a rule which was then approved by Leg Council and our Rules Committee. The APA also said that it was under their authority to do this. This bill would basically say, no, you can't do that, in spite of the fact that this has been looked at and reviewed and gone through the typical process for doing this. Now, there are forms that need to be completed for when a person is medically exempt, and now there is also a form to be completed when a person claims a personal belief exemption. And the purpose of this form is to ensure that those people who are choosing not to vaccinate their children are aware of what the diseases are that they are at risk for. And if you look at the form, it's actually a pretty simple form, mimics the medical exemption form. And on the back, basically, you are asked to put an X next to the ones you don't want to take, and above that is information about what the benefits of those vaccines are, with a link to the Center for Disease Control's website, where you can find the scientific information about what the benefits and risks are of those immunizations. Now, when it comes to public health, this is the basic point I want you to know, which is that in order for vaccines to be effective, you need something called herd effect. And to get the herd effect, you need 95% of your population to be vaccinated. And so when you have a high proportion of folks who are refusing vaccines for personal reasons, you end up with counties in our state where the vaccination rate is closer to 75 or 80%, which means that all the other children in that community who have taken the appropriate precautions are now at risk for diseases that are preventable. And so what the department had was doing with this form was basically ensuring that parents understood what the risks were, not only to their own children, but to the other children in the community. And I think that we sometimes forget that we have children living now who are immune suppressed. We have children who are receiving chemotherapy for cancer. We have children who have immune globulin deficiencies, and having them be exposed to unvaccinated children is potentially a risk to their health.
And Senator, if you could, appreciate your remarks, but apologize for interrupting. If you could redirect your comments to the form issue in the bill.
Sure.
Thank you.
And so I think because of the public health risk of having children not be vaccinated, that the least we can do is support the department's effort to ensure that parents are giving an informed denial of this personal belief exemption. They are still allowed to refuse this, and in fact, the head of the Department of Public Health and Environment has indicated a willingness to accept a letter with the information that Senator Kafalis requested on it to be sent to him in exchange for this form for those families who truly feel strongly. But in this case, we'd like the default to be a more rigorous procedure. And in fact, there's some early data suggesting that just by getting this information and denying and refusing your vaccinations, by filling out the form that we have, fewer people refuse vaccinations. And so I would ask that you vote no on Senate Bill 250.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add a little clarity to some elements here. One, the herd immunity concept. Now, I've been working on this issue for maybe 15 years now, and I can tell you, I've never heard 95% immunization rate as being the standard for herd immunization. The number I've heard has been generally 80%, sometimes a little bit higher, but never at 95%. So I'm just wondering where those facts came from. They certainly haven't come from any information that I've been privy to for all of the time I've been looking into this. And I want to tell you about the quote official form that the health department came out with. Fortunately, I'm glad to report to you that they no longer call it their official form. It's their form, which is commensurate with the statute, because the statute requires nothing more than a parent to submit a signed statement claiming their opposition to their children being immunized at the CDC's projected schedule, or not projected, but their schedule. And on their form, which again, they don't even call an official form anymore, it's their form, so it's not exclusive, they've admitted that, and if you go to the health department's website, you'll find that is their policy now. But their form doesn't talk about risks. It doesn't list the risks that are involved, and that's the concern that many, many parents have across this state, that when you look at the health department's piece, it's more a piece of salesmanship on why you ought to be immunized, but it doesn't state all of the risks that are out there. And any parent who really digs in deep discovers that there's a whole another side to this whole debate and discussion. And I'm quite grateful that Colorado statute today gives parents the ability to make that final decision on what's best for their children. And that's where it ought to be. That's where it needs to say. Look at this very carefully. Look at the statute as it is today. Oh, and one final thing. It's kind of ancient history, but yeah, it's true that last year the health department was insisting that they could create an official form. It was a very shallow argument, and it was only after the bill failed that they told me, that then, who was then chairman of Health and Human Services, that they needed this bill to pass. I don't remember the number, it was last year, and it failed. They needed this bill to pass in order to implement their official form system. Well, when it failed, then suddenly they had the authority anyway. That's not true. So that's how the law really reads today, and those are the facts as I've seen them over these many years. I believe that Senate Bill 250 is very much in line with what state statute is and essentially state policy is today.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Neville. Any further discussion on Senate Bill 250? Seeing none, the motion for the body's adoption. Motion for the body's adoption of Senate Bill 250 and a division has been called. If everyone in the chamber who is not entitled to vote could please sit down. Still waiting for folks to sit down. And the division vote for our guests here is when we vote by standing. Oh, there's some guests here. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. If all members voting aye on Senate Bill 250, please stand.
No, I got 60.
Members, thank you very much. All members voting no on Senate Bill 250 and the motion, please stand. Thank you, members. The motion for the adoption of Senate Bill 250 is lost. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The aye has it, and we will rise and report.
Mr. Carter. The Senate will come to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to reports had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, and makes the following recommendation thereon. Senate Bill 276, Senate Bill 216 is amended. Senate Bill 269 is amended, passed second reading, order gross placed on the calendar for their reading and final passage. House Bill 269, House Bill 1214 passed second reading, order revised and placed on the calendar for their reading and final passage. Senate Bill 107 laid over until 4/2017, retaining its place on the calendar. House Bill 1165 referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Senate Bill 250 is amended, lost on second reading.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
The motion before us is the adoption of the report to the Committee of the Whole. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 276, Senate Bill 216 is amended. Senate Bill 269 is amended, passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1269, House Bill 1214 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 107 laid over until 4/2017, retaining its place on the calendar. House Bill 1165 referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Senate Bill 250 is amended, lost on second reading. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move once again to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege.
The motion is to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will proceed out of order. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we have a former member of the House, Bill Webster here, and his lovely wife Sylvia, and better known as Perry Buck's parents. So, Bill, would you please stand up and be recognized? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move for a moment of personal privilege.
Request granted. And Senator Crowder as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're delighted today to bring to your attention a quick tribute for the occupational therapy. And these are the ladies over here in the corner, which I'll get to them in a minute. I'll tell you what, this is a great group, and they have a great sense of humor. The Senate and House representatives hereby extend sincere commendations to the Occupational Therapy Association of Colorado. For the past 100 years, occupational therapists have helped countless children and adults access education, facilitated by the relearning of life skills lost as a result of illness or injury, supported persons with mental illness as they transitioned into community, and helped other adults age in place. The members of the Colorado Senate and Colorado House of Representatives, thank you for making it easier for people of all ages and abilities to be the things they want and need to be in order to thrive. This was actually upon request by myself, Senator Larry Crowder, Irene Aguilar, Representatives Jonathan Singer, and Lois Landgraf, signed by the President of the Senate. And with that said, I want to welcome you to the Capitol. We've had several occasions today to interact, and I've really had a lot of fun with you. And, these ladies, they give a lot to us. And for that, I would like to commend you on your profession and also welcome you to the Capitol. And with that, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to my associate here.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I just want to point out the tremendous addition occupational therapy has been. As you know, we have people surviving injuries and illnesses that often leave them fairly disabled, including stroke, which I think we'll learn more about later. And these folks really help people relearn how to be independent and to gain function in their lives, and also help children with disabilities. We had a wonderful occupational therapist in my daughter's life. And so we want to thank you for your work. We want to commemorate your 100 years of practice, and thank you for joining us today in the Senate.
Senator Crowder.
Mr. President, if everyone would join me in welcome this group to the Capitol, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Aguilar.
Message from the House.
The House has passed on third reading, transmitted the rise of statutes. House Bill 1251 is amended. House Bill 1290 is amended. House Bill 1288 is amended. The House has passed on third reading and returns here with Senate Bill 247. The House has passed on third reading, transmitted the rise of statutes. Senate Bill 105, amended is printed in the House Journal, April 18, 2017.
Message from the reviser.
We hereby transmit without comment as amended House Bill 1251, 1288, and 1290 without comment as amended Senate Bill 105.
Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title of the Senate Joint Resolution 27?
Senate Joint Resolution 27 by Senators Guzman and Tate and Representatives Duran and Beckman concerning recognition of the need to expand access to effective treatment for stroke patients.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 27 and ask that be read at length.
Mr. Carpenter.
Senate Joint Resolution 27 by Senators Guzman and Tate and Representatives Duran and Beckman concerning recognition of the need to expand access to effective treatment for stroke patients. Whereas, strokes are a leading cause of death and long-term disability in the United States, costing more than 130,000 lives annually, including an average of 1,600 victims in Colorado alone. And whereas, a stroke can affect anyone at any age and at any time, and can have devastating long-term effects if the victim is not treated immediately. And whereas, a stroke occurs when blood flow to an area of the brain is blocked by a clot or aneurysm, but certain specialized care has been proven to give stroke patients an excellent chance of survival and even full recovery. And whereas, advancements in medical innovation have produced revolutionary treatments such as the tissue plasminogen activator and neuroendovascular surgery, in which highly trained stroke surgeons, in conjunction with neurologists, treat patients suffering from a severe form of ischemic stroke by removing or dissolving the blood clot and ensuring the patient's survival while greatly reducing long-term disabilities. And whereas, when emergency medical technicians and other first responders are properly trained to assess stroke severity and then transport stroke patients to neuroendovascular-ready stroke centers capable of performing a mechanical thrombectomy 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, 365 days per year, stroke patients who undergo neuroendovascular surgery can live up to 5 years longer than patients who do not receive this specialized treatment, while also saving up to $23,000 over their lifetime from shorter hospital stays and fewer required therapies. And whereas only an estimated 10% of those stroke victims who would benefit from this specialized care are currently being properly assessed, triaged, and transported to these specialized 24/7, 365 neuroendovascular-ready stroke centers to receive this life-saving treatment. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that we, the Colorado General Assembly, hereby recognize and applaud the significant progress being made by Colorado's medical community, including physicians, nurses, EMTs, and hospitals, to embrace new, effective treatments for stroke victims, including specialized care that involves the performance of neuroendovascular surgery. Continue our support of improvements for the emergency medical response time and transport of stroke victims for appropriate medical care, because we believe this type of care is an urgent priority and recognize that further efforts are needed to improve these services. Strongly encourage the Department of Public Health and Environment to provide EMTs and first responders with the tools needed for the proper pre-hospital assessment and triage of stroke patients, which may include education about identifying stroke patients who may have an emergent large vessel occlusion that would necessitate transport to 24/7, 365 neuroendovascular-ready stroke centers, and for which geographic considerations can be designated by regional emergency medical services entities. And encourage EMTs and other first responders to receive the proper education and training for the assessment and triage of stroke patients, along with being familiarized with 24/7, 365 neuroendovascular-ready stroke centers and the Colorado Community College system to incorporate such education and training curricula into its existing program for the education and training of EMTs and other first responders, so that this needed education and training is readily available. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Dr. Larry Wolk, Executive Director and Chief Medical Officer of the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, the 9 members of the Colorado Community College System State Board for Community Colleges and Occupational Education, Governor John Hickenlooper, and Colorado's congressional delegation.
Minority Leader Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, please be seated. Today we have a resolution that introduces some of us, at least it did to me, of a particular procedure that is being offered here in Colorado by 3 major medical centers so far. And this is a situation that I knew very little about, but apparently there are many ways that people who have strokes, who have suffered stroke, can have go to a particular area, particular center, and have a precise kind of medical treatment, so that there could be for them an opportunity to live without long-term medical issues. And we will highlight later in personal privilege the names of the folks involved locally, but this is a great opportunity for Colorado to continue to serve our people who are suffering major strokes, but yet offering them a major opportunity, additional opportunities to live without disability.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Like the resolution we passed several days ago related to ovarian cancer, we have in Colorado advanced treatment opportunities, but to have those opportunities be effective, we need early and proper assessment. And one thing about making this resolution is calling attention to the advances we have in this area, and then in addition, calling for earlier and better assessment to get patients directed to the care that ultimately results in better outcomes.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in support of this resolution. And because I'm a primary care physician, I'm thrilled about the options that are available, but I want to be sure that everybody knows what you can do to prevent a stroke. And the number one thing you can do, Senator from Alamosa, is quit smoking. 1-800-QUIT-NOW. The other thing you can do is work on the fact that you're work on our overweight and obesity, and I'm trying to work on that. Work on our diet, physical inactivity. If you have not had your cholesterol checked and you're over 40, you should have it checked because that's another thing that would help. And actually, if you have high blood pressure, have it controlled. And so I did want to say that I do have this now here at the Capitol. I will keep it by my desk. And anytime we're here on the floor, I'm happy to check your blood pressure. As you know, it is a silent, maybe before we start floor debate, it is a silent killer, and it is something that we can all do to help protect our health and control our health care costs by not getting debilitating strokes. Thank you.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I rise in support of this very important resolution. 27 years ago, my dad had a stroke. He was in Kansas City, St. Luke's Hospital, and we had no knowledge, no information. We really didn't know anything about what a stroke meant. He temporarily lost his speech. He temporarily lost movement in his right side. And as a family, we were freaking out. We didn't know where to go, what to do, how to get information. I flew in from Denver, and we found out that one of the resources, and one of the best resources, was right here in Colorado, the American Stroke Association. It was 27 years ago, and where we are now, and looking at the information we have now, and the preventative side of what each and every one of us can do. We all laugh about stress, but the impact of stress on our lives and how we internalize that oftentimes is a great contributor to developing heart disease and developing clots. And so, again, we're so fortunate to have a doctor in the Senate with us, but to take advantage of making sure that we are all taking good care of ourselves and of our families. So thank you very much for bringing this important resolution.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. We all giggle when the senator from Denver, I'll say it, Senator Aguilar, came down here with her blood pressure cuff. The fact of the matter is, back in 2011, my first year, I'm sitting right over here at this desk where the senator from Douglas County is sitting, desk number 10, and it's towards the end of the session, right about now, and she came around with that very same offer for getting blood pressure checked. And sure, okay, fine, why not? And so I had it checked right there. And I don't remember the numbers. They were crazy. If you've ever seen, well, Irene, thank you for doing that. Coming around and doing that, because honestly, folks, I was borderline stroke sitting right there at that desk. Now, the pressure of this job sometimes is more than other days and less than other days. But, yeah, what pressure? But this is a serious thing. You may not know it sitting there. You may feel fine. You may not feel fine. But have it checked. I'm on medication now for high blood pressure. And it's a simple thing to get it checked, and it's a simple thing to get it taken care of. And I'm better for it. Thank you.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. President. And so, members, what this resolution is about as well is highlighting a specific kind of treatment, care opportunity that is not possible everywhere. There are some opportunities where patients who once would not have survived or been incapacitated for the rest of their lives now are able to recover and lead independent, productive lives. In order for that to happen, a patient has to be sent to the best place with the specialized best treatment to provide that particular medical treatment. And Mr. President, if I could have a moment of personal privilege.
If we go ahead and finish the
Oh, you want to pass the
resolution, and then
resolution?
we'll do moments of personal privilege right after that. Is there any further discussion on Senate Joint Resolution 27? The motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 27. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 27 is adopted. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
There is no objection. The current roll call will be added as co-sponsors. Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to recognize and thank the Society for, these are big words for me, Neurointerventional Surgery for its advocacy in bringing this issue to us. And in particular with us today is Dr. Don Fry of Swedish Medical Center, who is one of the pioneers of this particular kind of surgery in the country, who has been a strong voice for stroke patients. He is with us today, as is Marie Williams, the executive director, and along with them is Bill Meehan. Bill is a survivor. He received this treatment, this specialized care, and to this day has been living without incapacity and without developmental issues. And so, members, if we could welcome them today and thank them for their service. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Consideration of memorials. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we lay over Senate Memorial 2 until Wednesday, April 26th.
Motion is to lay over Senate Memorial 2 until Wednesday, April 26th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that will be laid over. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over Senate Bills 259 and 254 until Friday, April 21st.
Motion is to lay over Senate Bills 259 and 254 till Friday, April 21st. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and those will be laid over. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the Senate Bill 83.
Senate Bill 83 by Senator Kagan, Representative Foote, concerning implementation of recommendations of the Committee on Legal Services in connection with legislative review of rules and regulations of state agencies.
Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 1783.
Do you provide a brief explanation of the amendments?
Absolutely. Senate Bill 1783, members, is the annual rule review bill where, upon recommendation of the Legislative Legal Services Committee, we make changes to the expiration that is scheduled of all rules, and we accept certain rules from that expiration. The House picked up two changes to the rule review bill that were necessary. These were unanimously recommended by the Legal Services Committee to be adopted, and the House unanimously adopted those measures, 64 ayes and 1 excused, and it now comes back to us. It changes some of the rules of the Department of Education and removes the expiration of a rule of the Department of Revenue. I move that we concur with the House's recommendations, House's changes.
Is there any discussion? The motion is for the Senate to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 83. Are there any no votes on concurrence? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the motion is adopted. Senator Kagan.
Mr. President, I move repassage of Senate Bill 17-83.
The motion is for the readoption of Senate Bill 83. Are there any no votes? With the vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 83 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Gardner. Senator Martinez-Humanic. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 187.
Senate Bill 187 by Senator Crowder and Representative Janal concerning the authority for an exemption to the residency requirement for education-related marijuana occupational licenses and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask the Senate to concur with the House amendments on this.
Could you provide a brief explanation of
Yes, there are several technical fixes on this, but the most, actually the only one that I could find that actually would affect it is that the marijuana-based education is operated by an entity licensed under this state.
Is there any further discussion? The motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 187. Are there any no votes on concurrence? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that this Senate Bill 187 be readopted by the...
I move
Senate Bill 187 be readopted.
The motion is for the readoption of Senate Bill 187. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 187 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Majority Leader Holbert. He's already on. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Bill 203 lay over until Thursday, April 20th.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 203 until Thursday, April 20th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and that will be laid over. Consideration of governor's appointments. Consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read all the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Members of the Colorado Commission on Higher Education for terms expiring July 1st, 2020, Cassandra Cassie Gannett of Colorado Springs, Colorado, resident of the 5th Congressional District and unaffiliated, appointed. Mary Beth Busher of Grand Junction, Colorado, resident of the 3rd Congressional District and Democrat, appointed, effective July 1st, 2017, for terms expiring July 1st, 2021. Luis Alberto Colon of Lone Tree, Colorado, to serve as a resident of the 4th Congressional District and Republican, reappointed. Thomas Oliver McGimsey of Louisville, Colorado, to serve as a resident of the 2nd Congressional District and as Republican, reappointed. Members of the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors, terms expiring June 30th, 2020. Claudia Beth Crowell of Grand Junction, Colorado, Democrat, reappointed. Margaret Henry of Brighton, Colorado, Republican, reappointed. Member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors, for term expiring July 1st, 2019. Alan Bruce Salazar of Thornton, Colorado, appointed. Members of the Private Occupational School Board, for terms expiring July 1st, 2019. Ryan Zavord Minnick of Thornton, Colorado, to serve as representative of a private occupational school in occasion by the resignation of Richard Semekulo of Centennial, Colorado, appointed for term expiring July 1st, 2020. Robert Earl Martin of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, to serve as a representative of a private occupational school, appointed. Members of the Colorado Traumatic Brain Injury Trust Fund Board, for terms expiring June 30th, 2019. Brittany Madden of Denver, Colorado, appointed. Catherine Howard Johnson Brooks of Broomfield, Colorado, reappointed. Helen E. Morgan of Denver, Colorado, reappointed.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move all of the appointments listed on the consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar, consisting of members of the Colorado Commission on Higher Education, members of the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors, a member of the State Historical Society Board of Directors, members of the Private Occupational School Board, members of the Colorado Traumatic Brain Injury Trust Fund Board.
Is there any discussion? The motion is for the adoption of all the governor's appointments listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the appointments are confirmed. Following persons have been appointed to the Colorado Commission on Higher Education: Cassandra Cassie Gannett, Mary Beth Boucher, Luis Alberto Colon, Thomas Oliver McGimsey. Following members have been appointed to the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors: Claudia Beth Kroll, Margaret Henry. Following persons have been appointed to the State Historical Society Board of Directors: Alan Bruce Salazar. Following members have been appointed to the Private Occupational School Board: Ryan Zavoradminik and Robert Earl Martin. And the following persons have been appointed to the Colorado Traumatic Brain Injury Trust Fund Board: Brittany Matern, Catherine Howard Johnson Brooks, Helen E. Morgan. Consideration of conference committee reports. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 106.
Senate Bill 106 by Senators Aguilar and Corman, Representative Singer, concerning the continuation of the regulation of naturopathic doctors by the Director of the Division of Professions and Occupations of the Department of Regulatory Agencies in connection therewith and implementing the department's necessary review recommendations.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to ask for a moment of personal privilege. Members, pardon? No.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is probably a little unusual, but you know, we have lots of situations around here where we agree, we disagree, sometimes things get heated. And this is a situation that the good senator and I have been not in total agreement on, but there has been a situation arise where her integrity, her reputation has been attacked. And frankly, that is not acceptable in this building. So I would like to yield whatever the good senator wants to do on this bill. I ask you 100% support.
Senator Aguilar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adhere to the Senate version of Senate Bill 17106 and reject the conference committee report.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to commend the good senator from Montrose and his standing up for our colleague. I was privy to the email, and the good senator from Denver has my utmost respect, and we do sometimes disagree. But in this outcome, I'm really proud to join our two colleagues in asking for an aye vote on adherence to the Senate version and to reject the conference committee. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Technically, I think the motion is to dissolve the first conference committee and adhere to the Senate position. On Senate Bill 106. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Okay. Is there any further discussion? Are there any no votes on the motion to dissolve the first conference committee and adhere to the Senate's position on Senate Bill 106? With a vote of 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, that motion is adopted. The Senate adheres to its position on Senate Bill 106. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the House Bill 1035.
House Bill 1035 by Representative Jackson and Senator Cook concerning allowing certain crime victims to break their rental agreements under certain circumstances.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the first report of the first conference committee on House Bill 1035. What the conference committee decided was that we should adhere to, that we should recede from the amendment that was put on in conference committee. This was the bill that allows victims of who are being stalked and of sexual assault to break their lease.
Is there any further discussion? The motion is for the adoption of the first report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1035. Are there any no votes on the Conference Committee report? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the first report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1035 is adopted. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the readoption of House Bill 1035.
Heard the motion. Are there any no votes on the readoption of House Bill 1035? Senator Neville. Senator Marble. With a vote of 32 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1035 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Message from the governor.
April 18, 2017, Colorado Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and will file with the Secretary of State the following acts: Senate Bill 36 concerning the appellate process governing district court's review of final agency actions concerning groundwater, approved April 18, 2017 at 2:59 p.m. Senate Bill 68 concerning early support for student success through access to school counselors and in connection therewith, serving all grades through the Behavioral Health Care Professional Matching Grant Program and the School Counselor Corps Grant Program, approved April 18, 2017 at 2:50 p.m. Senate Bill 88 concerning the criteria used by a health insurer to select health care providers to participate in the insurer's network of providers in connection therewith, making an appropriation, approved April 18, 2017 at 2:41 p.m. Senate Bill 112 concerning the clarification of the effect of statutes and limitations of the dispute resolution process when a taxpayer owes sales or use tax to one local government but has erroneously paid the dispute tax to another local government, approved April 18, 2017 at 3:10 p.m. Senate Bill 115 concerning possession of sexually exploitative material by persons involved in sexually exploitative material cases, approved April 18, 2017 at 3:03 p.m. Senate Bill 137 concerning the continuation of the Colorado Health Services Corps Advisory Council, approved April 18, 2017 at 2:55 p.m. Sincerely, John W. Hickenlooper, Governor.
Signing of bills.
The President has signed Senate Bill 51, 108, 189, 190, 241, and 246. The President has signed Senate Joint Memorial for Senate Joint Resolution 12 and 31.
Announcements. Senator Hill.
Thanks, Mr. President. Colleagues, upon adjournment, we do have Education Committee. 4 bills are up. We're going to be laying one of those over, 1258. I've already spoken with the sponsors, and folks should know about that, but we'll start Education Committee in just about 10 minutes.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of Appropriations, we are adding House Bill 1165 to the meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 8:40 in the morning.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to remind you, you have an announcement on your desk regarding the Legislative Sportsman Caucus, which is Thursday, April 20th. We'd love for you to come join us. Remember to RSVP.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a reminder, today is the Aerospace and Defense Caucus across the street, 1525 Sherman Street, up on 6th floor. And tomorrow is the Colorado Cancer Caucus at 354 tomorrow. So please mark those on your calendar. Thank you.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow is the Claw Caucus. Get fired up.
Are there any further announcements? Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we will have some bills to read over later today. You do not need to be here, but of course you are welcome. Mr. President, I move the Senate recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
The motion is for the Senate to recess until 1:30 p.m. today. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. The aye has it over the no, and we'll be in recess until 1:30 p.m. today.